I don't think there's anyone here yet, so I should wait. Although no one could come, right? If you host a live stream and nobody comes, what is that really? So I'll wait a few minutes, but just to for the record, so that whoever watches the replay of this doesn't just see me sitting here for a couple minutes. My goal today is to do a few things. Firstly, I want to talk about a fundraiser for Doha Hassan and her family who are in Rafah at the moment, and just give information about that. I then also want to talk about this design, which I'm not a designer. I've just been working with somebody on a design, potentially for a Kickstarter fundraiser for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So I'm thinking about doing that. And I want to incentivize someone to give to Doha's fundraiser. So I have a very large, I think this is 16 by 20 poster of this. Now you might be wondering, okay, I get the shape, but I don't get the letters. Don't worry, I don't read Arabic either. However, this is a poem. This is from a poem that I first learned about when I went to Hebron in the West Bank, and it's by a famous Palestinian poet no longer with us named Mahmoud Darwish, and it's called "On This Land," and it's really a call to Palestinian people to continue to live on the land despite everything that's going on to them. And I remember seeing in the West Bank, I had limited luggage space, and it was this very beautiful drawn on pottery, and I thought I'm going to break this on the way back, but I found a smaller version of it here. Obviously, that's behind me. I'll read this poem, and then there was a question I posted in YouTube. If anyone had any questions to ask me, someone did post one question, and I'll answer that. And then if anyone in the live stream has any questions that I feel like I can answer, then I'll answer. And I will wait. I'll wait another 30 seconds or so, and then we'll get started. One of the challenges is, of course, that it's after midnight in the Holy Land. So some of the people who've been watching my channel and corresponding with me are probably quite reasonably asleep. So, okay, so I will get started for whoever is going to be here. And I'm going to start with this fundraiser. Let me put a link to it in the chat so that everyone can have access to it. So that is the chat for, that is the link for Doha and her family. And I'm going to read it so that people can have more context. So as far as my own due diligence, I only know Doha because she has been corresponding with me briefly, making comments on my videos, and she asked me to consider contributing to the fundraiser. I have contributed some myself. Before I could recommend it to people, I had to do a little bit of digging around. Now you can read here, if you go to the link, my name is Dr. Marcy Newman. I'm an American based in India. I'm raising funds for my student Doha Hassan and her family, who are based in Rafah, Gaza, Palestine. They will use these funds, which Kamis Dababish has generously agreed to collect for her, to pay the war profiteers extracting funds from people fleeing the Israeli assault. The money will be placed in their family's account in the US, and he will transfer the funds to the necessary parties. I've been writing back and forth with Marcy, just trying to get a bit more information to know, if they're not able to reach the total goal, are they going to get any of this money? And I think also, too, this is one of these GoFundMes that has some sort of note from the organization that says there's some sort of underwriting for this. In any case, I'm asking you to do your own due diligence. I think Marcy will answer any of your questions. I think Doha will answer any of your questions if you write to them. If you want to know a little bit more about them before you contribute, I would totally understand that. Now, I'm going to read this, but before I read it, I just want to show again this poster. I bought it as a gift for anybody who would be willing to contribute. I'm going to say contribute at least $100. And keep in mind, I only have one of these, so it's first come, first serve. So whoever sends $100 to it and then sends me an email with a screenshot of your contribution, I'll mail this for free anywhere in the United States. And outside of the United States, I will mail it for free plus the postage. Okay, because I don't know if you live, let's say, in Fiji, for example, the postage might be a lot, and I need to cover that. But there's no charge for that. So that's my gift to you on behalf of Doha. If you would be willing to contribute to her family's GoFundMe. Okay, so let's read from Doha. Okay. Dear fellow human beings, my name is Doha Hassan and I want to live. I'm a Palestinian college student from Rafah, the southernmost border in Gaza. Over the past 4 months, I've seen the Israeli bombardment on Gaza creep closer and closer to my home. I am 19 years old and I have hopes, I have dreams. I am passionate about reading and learning, and I have so many plans for my life, many of which came to a halt when Israel destroyed my university where I studied English literature. My youngest sister Dana is in kindergarten, Lean is in 6th grade, and Amir is in high school. I and my sister Ragad maybe, or forgive any of my pronunciation on Arabic names. I and my sister Ragad are university students. Due to the destruction of universities, including my own, I have fallen behind my peers in education. Despite being a second-year college student, I am determined to start afresh and apply for a scholarship abroad. But I also need to be reassured that my family is safe. Instead of being able to study and enjoy my time with my family, we have found ourselves living in dire conditions imposed by Israel's genocidal war. Daily airstrikes and bombings have persisted for over 4 months, depriving us of sleep and leaving us traumatized. This is in addition to having endured 17 years of a siege, during which Israel has continued to block essential supplies, including food, fuel, drinking water, medicine, and electricity. As resources dwindle, even the most basic necessities become scarce, and we often endure long queues just to obtain flour from UNRWA when it's available. But since the United States began its campaign to abolish UNRWA, even that has become impossible. Our challenges intensified when my sister fell ill, and we were unable to access proper medical care due to Israel's obliteration of Gaza's entire hospital infrastructure. Despite our struggles, we opened our doors to provide shelter for displaced friends and family in northern Gaza, sharing what little we had with them and remaining resilient in the face of adversity. There are currently 1.5 million such internally displaced Palestinians in Rafah. After 2 months, resources in Gaza became more scarce, compelling us to manually grind wheat to make bread and ration our meals to make ends meet. The hunger crisis gripping Gaza worsened, leaving us sleepless at night as we have been enduring relentless airstrikes and bombings. With gas supplies depleted, we have resorted to cooking and baking bread using coal, exacerbating my father and sister's respiratory issues. Despite our resilience, the looming threat is on my family's doorstep as a ground invasion of Rafah is imminent. We're not sure what will get us first, Israel's genocidal war or Israel's use of starvation as a weapon against Palestinians in Gaza. We have been hoping against hope there would be a lasting ceasefire, but the urgency of our situation has compelled us to seek safety in Egypt. Your generosity and support can make a huge difference in saving our lives. The only way out of Gaza is through the Rafah border, which requires a fee of $7,000 for each adult and $3,500 for each child. The total amount for my family to get out of Gaza is $45,000. My family consists of 5 adults and 2 children. The horror we are living through is unimaginable. The nonstop airstrikes and bombings have changed our lives to a battle of everyday survival. Every contribution, regardless of its size, will help ensure our safe journey out of Rafah towards a more secure place in Egypt. Your generosity will provide us with an opportunity to reconstruct our lives. With gratitude, Doha. And there's an update here from March 11th. Dear donors, thank you so much for your generosity. We've crossed 4,000 yesterday. We have a long way to go. Please share this fundraiser with your networks. And as I've said already, if you're unsure about this, I don't expect everybody to necessarily be comfortable donating to somebody who they don't know. So feel free to message Marcy. She's been very responsive to me when I've asked questions about this. And as I said, if I'm going to promote this to other people, I wanted to know a little bit more about it, but you can also do your own due diligence. As I said, I can vouch for Doha herself, but I've never contributed to a GoFundMe before. So I don't know too much about it other than I've contributed myself. And as I said, I'll be sending this map, this poster. Again, this is a Mahmoud Darwish poem inscribed on the land of Palestine. I think it's 16 by 20. I'm not entirely sure. That's that's not in the metric system, obviously. And I'll ship this anywhere in the United States for free, but outside the United States, I'll just need the postage covered. But for anyone who gives at least $100 to Doha's fundraiser, I'll send that along. Just take a screenshot of your donation and send it to me, and I will get that to you. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover was Doha's fundraiser. This, and I suppose, you know what, I'll read that poem, the Mahmoud Darwish poem, so you have a bit more context about that. We have on this land that which makes life worth living. We have on this land all of that which makes life worth living. April's hesitation, the aroma of bread at dawn, a woman's beseeching of men, the writings of Aeschylus, love's beginning, moss on a stone, mothers standing on a flute's thread, and the invader's fear of memories. We have on this land that which makes life worth living. September's end, a woman leaving 40 behind, with all of her apricots. The hour of sunlight is in prison, a cloud reflecting a swarm of creatures, a people's applause for those who face their own erasure with a smile, and the tyrant's fear of songs. We have on this land all of that which makes life worth living. On this land, the lady of our land, the mother of all beginnings, and the mother of all ends, she was called Palestine. Her name later became Palestine. My lady, because you are my lady, I have all of that which makes life worth living. Again, apologies, that's in English. I know the original is in Arabic, but I can't pronounce Arabic nor read it, unfortunately. So that's the English translation. So that's that. As I've noted, I'm going to give a poster out to anybody who, not anybody, the first person to contribute more than 100, send me a screenshot. Okay, I only have one. I apologize, I can't send more than one. The second was I just wanted your feedback working on this poster. This is a logo that I'm working on with a designer for a Kickstarter that I want to do for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. I don't really like mugs and t-shirts for something like this. This is a bit too serious for me to put on a mug or a t-shirt, but I think maybe a notebook, something which you can use to take notes and to learn more about the situation. But I just wanted some feedback. What do you like about the design? What do you not like about the design? What could I improve? I was trying to find something that had a clear message, but wasn't too militant. And if you know anything about this, I suppose I should explain that too, if you don't know. So what's the watermelon for? So for some years, Israel banned the use of the Palestinian flag as illegal. The way until I think recently it was illegal. Well, maybe it still is illegal, I think, to display the North Korean flag in South Korea. But it was all over their television when the South Korean leader visited the North Korean border. So it seems like it is a law for the moment. At some point, Israel stopped this, and the Palestinian flags were allowed to fly. Probably after Oslo, I'm thinking. But for a while, the watermelon was used as a stand-in because it has all of the colors of the Palestinian flag. So what were the Israelis going to do? Ban watermelons? So it was a great response, say a response of hope against occupiers, against a cruel occupation, but also end the occupation. It's clear. So I'm trying to, I think, have a bit of fun with the message. I think as the Palestinians, quote unquote, have fun by not letting the occupiers bring down their spirits. And just let me know, what could I change about this? What could I improve? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Etc. So that's item number 2 on today's live stream. Item number 3 was a question. So I asked earlier in the week, I said, so I'm going to do a live stream. Are there any questions? And because I wanted to do this live stream for Doha, so I thought I should answer questions while I'm doing it. And someone had said, I was wondering if you ever felt like you had no country. I'm mixed race. My dad has Chinese origins, and I feel as if I never really had a home. I'm from the UK originally. So interesting question. I had meant to think about, not to say I haven't thought about it. I had meant to think about it some more and write down an answer. Haven't had time to do that before today's live stream. So I thought I would just think about it with you all and try to give an answer. I think part of my philosophy about having a home has been more inspired by where I am in my life now, as opposed to where I might have been when I was younger. So when I was younger, let's say in my teenage years or even in my early 20s, I was probably desperately looking for a home in some way. I wanted to find a place and say, this is home, this is my place. And I had some mixed success with this. I have places that I'm quite attached to that I've enjoyed living in very much. Paris, one of them. St. Louis in Missouri in the United States is another one. Of course, I lived many years, my first years of my life, not many years, but the first years of my life in Singapore, which I'm quite attached to as well. A lot of my family still lives there. So if I say I'm influenced by the thinking of where I am in my life now, it's very much knowing that this life is passing, right? That this is a very small segment of what will be eternity after we die. So if we think about eternity, which has no end, and we think about this life, which is very short, the idea of a home is it so important in the sense of we have not here a lasting city. However, I do understand that in the natural order, people are attached to their soil, they're attached to their ground, and I love that. I love when I visit parts of the world and people share their deep love of the land and of their home with me. And I think that's probably what so touched me about having visited Palestine and talked to Palestinians is they're very attached to this land, and it's a very tough place to be. So it isn't as if they chose someplace pleasant and decided they were going to make their home there, which is, I think, what a lot of first worlders like myself, we choose some place we want to live that's very pleasant to us, and we identify with it, and then we call it ours. But it wasn't really ours, we chose it. In a sense, the land chooses these people, and then they hold on to it, and I admire that a lot. So if I answered that I feel like I have no home, it's not as if that is a missing part of my life, because as I say, my philosophy is we have not here a lasting city. Wherever I live here on this earth, it is for a short time. Life is short, it's passing, and then there's eternity. And that eternity is much longer than the present life. So in a sense, it really doesn't matter where I live or what I do. I say that having come out of a decade of living in Paris, in my dream city, and a place I very much enjoyed being, and in many ways was a home. But any place that we have here on Earth, it's just, let's say, home for a while, even if it was for many generations. And on the Chinese side of my family, we go back to the island of Hainan, and they were there for many, many centuries. That part of the family was. And then on the Caucasian side of my family, we have descendants from Ireland, England, and Alsace. And as far as we can tell, the English side goes all the way back to the Isle of Man, I think. No, Isle of Wight, the Isle of Wight. And the Irish are from the south of Ireland. And the Alsatians, well, as you know, that's swapped between Germany and France. But they've been there for some time as well. A lot of records stop around the 1400s, 1500s. But in any case, I'm sure they were very attached to their land as well. That's all to say, who was asked me this? Inveterate Foreigner, 2780 in the YouTube comments. That's all to say that I'm not trying to say that you should think the way that I think. You asked a question, and I wanted to answer it the best as I could. And I don't believe that it's so important to have a home in this life. What's important is that you are living by the natural law, by God's law of his church, and that you have your eye focused on the important things in life, which is not this life. It's the life to come. And that's probably a setup for a different conversation, different time, if people would be interested. As it is now, I'm coming to the end of the live chat. And if there are no questions in the chat, which I don't see any, I will wrap up here in a few moments. As a reminder, there's the link to the GoFundMe. I put it in the video description, but it's also here in the chat, which you can find in the chat replay. As I already said, the first person to make at least a $100 donation and send me a screenshot of it, I'm going to send you this poster. If you're in the United States, I'll send it for free. If you're outside the United States, I'll just need to collect postage and then send that to you. I'm also doing a sort of survey on this logo. Wanted to know your thoughts on it. I want to do a fundraiser for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund later this year. And I answered a question from one of the viewers about is there such a thing as a home for you? And I hope I answered it sufficiently. All right. Thank you all for taking the time to view this. Please consider giving something to Doha and her family after you've done your own due diligence through GoFundMe. And until next time, enjoy your reading.